Okay, so hello everyone. Long time no see. I know we just finished our thematic webinars for the year recently, all of which can be found on our website and our CrowdSolve page. But we still got a couple of events in store for you in the next following weeks. So today is our second in our career conversation series, where you can explore the many career paths available to you after university with those that have successfully tread them. So you can find our last one with the rest of the webinars on CrowdSolve on our website. As usual, my name is Sean, and I'm your convener today. I'm going to be hosting this session, working behind the scenes in the chat. Jackie can't be with us today. We hope today's session is slightly less formal than you're generally used to from our webinars, so that you feel more comfortable asking personal questions during the Q&A portion. But that being said, this event, as you know, is being recorded and it's transcript. So later on, if you'd like to voice your opinion, but would not like to be recorded, would like to stay somewhat anonymous, please feel free to send me a message privately, and I'll read out your question without sharing your name. I do encourage you all to put on your cameras and voice your opinions in today's session, though, to have some sort of connection with the people here. So we're, of course, excited to have you all here, both live and through the recording. Any post-event materials from today will be shared on the CrowdSolve page and website. Before we begin, a bit of our usual housekeeping. We aim to make our events as inclusive as possible. Please, during today's session, participate respectively and considerately. When others are speaking, please mute yourself to avoid any distractions in the room. If for some reason you come off mute for a section and there's quite a lot of background noise, I may mute you to avoid that. But if you would like to be taken off mute, just let me know through a message and I'll pull you off. As mentioned, we encourage you to turn on your mic and video during the Q&A portion for some live questions. So please feel free to use the hand raising function, which I believe is in your toolbar, to facilitate that. And then additionally, our chat will be open throughout the event for comments and questions. And if our speakers would like to do so, I encourage you to participate there as well. So today's agenda is here. We only have about an hour for today's session. We'll hear from 3 speakers, followed by a Q&A portion and a few things to close up shop. And as you can see, I have a couple polls just for us to learn a bit about each other and figure out why we're here in the session. So today is about hearing some true success stories from some of our industry partners that have walked the startup or entrepreneurial career path, as well as for them to share some advice and guidance for those looking to blaze their own path in a similar direction. So this is your chance to ask some questions about the pursuit of your own career from those who have gone through it. Before we begin, as I mentioned, I would just like to launch a poll to ask why everyone's here, where their interests lie. So if you just take a few seconds to answer that, then we can see the results, but you should see that on the screen. Let me know if you can't see that. Okay, I think we only have a few people in the room so far, and we're getting quite a few responses. I'll close this in just a moment. I don't think any of you will be able to see these results yet, but let me just show you them. So we have most people in the room are interested in starting a business after university and would like to learn more about them, decide if it's a good career path for them. And we have just a few people, one person who doesn't know what they want to do after university, but would like to learn about all the options available to them. Okay, so that's some great setup for all the speakers. Most of the people here want to be able to join you in this career path following university. Okay, so today's session is really about our guests today sharing their stories. So I don't want to introduce them too much, but you may have read a bit about them in our invitational email, and you may have met them in previous webinars. But today we have Romain Diaz from Satgana, Nidhi Pant from S4S Technologies, and Masiya from Sollys Energy. I'll let them introduce themselves during their own section. So I don't want to take up too much more time today. So let me just pass it off to Romain. I'll stop sharing my screen so that you can see his face in full glory. But why don't you take it away, Romain?
Sure. Thank you so much, Sean. Before I delve in, how would you want me to approach it? Would you just want me to do a brief intro of myself, and how long, more or less?
Yeah, brief intro of yourself, some stories, some advice. 10 to 15 minutes, I think, would work.
Okay.
And that'll give us enough time to go hear from everyone and then have some plenary at the end.
Okay. All right. So I guess I can start. I will do it chronologically as per my own personal and professional story and how it is all intertwined. So as you may hear from my accent, I am originally from France. I'm trying to get rid of that accent, but it doesn't go away. Even if I've been living in English-speaking countries for many years. So I'm currently sitting in Portugal, in Lisbon, where I'm now based. But I've been doing quite a lot of work on the African continent in particular for the past 10 years. So to rewind a bit, I have a business background, graduated in 2012 from a business school in France. I was fortunate to do most of my internships and student exchange programs overseas into emerging markets, namely Mexico, China, when it was still considered an emerging market. I don't know if that's still the case these days. I spent a bit of time in India, and then my first real job was in Morocco, where I was involved in the creation of a company which ended up becoming the first unicorn in Africa, a company called Jumia, which is kind of an Amazon for Africa. Like currently live in 15 countries, but back in the days we had started in Morocco, Nigeria, and Egypt. And that was very formative for me because it really got me to understand what it takes to build a new business into a country where there's basically everything to be built. There was basically no e-commerce back then on the continent, and in very little, and in Morocco in particular, where I was focused. And it also taught me a lot about a model that I would end up spending the following 10 years and probably for also many years to come, which is the venture studio model that some of you might be familiar with. But if not, in any case, I'll give a bit more detail about what it is. It has many forms and shapes, but basically the idea of a venture studio is to basically take ideas from idea to business. So really to help entrepreneurs to go from 0 to 1. And so I was part of a venture studio originally from Germany, which was building businesses all across the world, including that e-commerce company in Africa. So that also taught me a lot about the model of how to build businesses from 0 to 1. And then after that, I ended up joining another venture studio in South Africa called Africa Internet Holdings, with which we had raised capital with Naspers, which is a big South African media conglomerate and investor. So also focused mostly on e-commerce. That was back in 2013, 14. And then I co-founded a venture studio of my own in South Africa, which was called Far Ventures, which was focused on building e-commerce, not e-commerce actually. We shifted a bit away from e-commerce. We focused mostly on fintech and a bit of mobility as well. In South Africa, we have launched 4 companies in the financial inclusion space, in the mobility space, and in the fintech, insurtech space. Some failures, some in between, and some successes as part of this venture studio. And currently the venture studio itself is fully invested and patiently waiting for returns. That was, I would say, from 2015 to 19, roughly. And lots of learnings as well on how to build companies from 0 to 1, including through failures as well. And then for the past, I would say, 3 or so years, I had an increasing interest in sustainability and climate in particular, when I realized that a very simple realization, which is that business has an impact. and that impact can have a positive impact on people and planet, or a negative impact, and everything in between. And it's a very simple realization, but when I realized that, I really understood that I wanted to choose the side of trying to have a positive impact. And so I started to understand some of the issues that the world is undergoing, and in particular the environmental and climate issues that we are currently facing, with climate change and the ecological crisis being one of the looming issues that we're all facing, both in developed countries and developing countries. And so I realized that I wanted to use all what I had learned before to basically come up with solutions that can have a positive impact on the climate and ecological crisis that we're currently undergoing. And so that led me to create Sadgana, which, so Sadgana in Sanskrit means a good company. This is what we're trying to be for the world, is to really try and have a positive impact through what we do and through the companies that we're also creating and help launch and finance. And so basically what we've done for the past now 2 years is to build a team, build a deal flow of companies that are building solutions to this ecological and climate issue that we're currently facing. We have launched the first company, which is based in Kenya, which is a company doing an electric mobility solution to decarbonize transport in East Africa, called Masiya Mobility, which, if some of you are based in Kenya, may have seen, currently raising its seed round. And yeah, and we're currently in due diligence process with a couple of companies that we're looking to invest in, and we're currently in the process of raising a fund which will enable us to invest both capital at the pre-seed and seed stage, as well as operational resources, because our goal is to really support the entrepreneurs more than just with capital, but also with support services, so that we can really help maximize the chances of each company going from 0 to 1. And our goal through the first fund is to launch 20 to 25 companies in order to help entrepreneurs to build solutions and bring them to market, and basically have a as positive and as big impact at scale to mitigate and adapt to the looming issue of climate and climate change. Basically, that's what we're doing. I think it was a bit shorter than 15 minutes, but I guess that may spark quite a few questions on everything from my own personal journey to our model, to what we've done so far, to where we're going, etc. So I'll open the floor. I don't know how you want to take it from there, Sean, but that's a bit about me.
Sure. I think that's great. It's great to hear a bit of an introduction and then allow a lot of questions at the end. So we'll pick up all the questions at the end of the session so that we can get them all together. But it's really great to hear how long and varied your path was to get where you are now, and that a single realization of something that you care about and climate change could shift your direction, and you were able to pull it off. So I think that's something exciting that the students can draw from when asking questions later. Maybe if I just pass it on, maybe it's convoluted to share my screen just to pull it off again. So maybe Nidhi, would you like to take it off?
Hello, everyone. My name is Nidhi Pant. I'm from a small town called Aurangabad in the western part of India. And I started my journey as a chemical engineer when I was studying that in Bombay in India. And I founded my startup, which is called S4S Technologies. S4S stands for Science for Society. We provide affordable scientific solutions to rural areas, and we are focused in the agriculture value chain, where we are reducing post-harvest losses for the farmers. So whatever is the surplus produce, we use our solar-powered food processing machines, basically dehydrators and other equipments, to deploy this at the farmers' village and at their home, so that they can process and graduate to become processors, and through which they can earn an additional income. We collect all of these produce and sell it to large corporates like Nestle, Unilever, Marico, and also to small hotel, restaurant, catering industry. I know, since most of you present here want to be entrepreneur, I would want to just tell you a few lessons from my journey, and would be happy to take any questions. I think when I started back in college. That time I had it never started as an enterprise, so it was also purpose led, where very early, apart from what excited me, which was how can we actually use my engineering knowledge for the society where I come from a farming background. What can be done to 126 million farmers in India? So definitely wanted to use my skill set for in service of people. So was very sure that I don't want to take any corporate job. But still thought that education is a privilege, that as the first girl child in my family to go to school, I should not let my parents down, and I really need to educate myself and find a good career path. So with purpose, it was also important to be rational, to know what am I actually doing. I was not sure whether it is going to be an NGO or non-profit, whether it's going to be a research develop R&D center, whether it's going to be an enterprise. So really, I believed a lot on serendipity and ventured into it, just made sure that energy access should be there to everyone, all farmers in India, and started. So purpose is very important, and it's so why you are doing, why do you choose to do this is something that should be very, it would be helpful in your journey if you know early on. Second is that because my purpose was very clear, I never had second doubts, or I was not second guessing myself in terms of whether I am on the right path, even if my other peers were buying new Teslas or doing master's degrees. So it was helpful to also know that I am very secure. This is what exactly I want to do. So, and this is all a long, and to bring about any change, it's going to take time. So I was very patient enough also. First few years, we did so many things that did not work out. We failed multiple times. But just because I was sure that this is something I'm going to try. The failures were easy to accept and move over it. So these are the two parts which I thought was helpful. But the second part, which is more as a student, when you come out, I think a lot of people ask you, you don't have experience, you don't know as an entrepreneur whether you have a management experience, or I came from a technical background, but today I do business development, marketing, and finance for my organization. I've done multiple things. So I do things that it's not that experience defines everything. First is that be very open to learning. If you have one skill set as an entrepreneur, you have to be a continuous learning machine. You can't stop. You need to keep adapting yourself to what is what sort of skill set you need to build your venture. So apart from your engineering and core academics, it's also good to know what economics, that economics is equally important. Having a customer centered design thinking is equally important. And be a bit more ahead of your time in terms of understanding what you don't have. If I lacked one skill set, I was very open enough that I should go and seek out such platforms like these to learn, have mentors. So when you're young, a lot of times you would have very limited resources whom to reach out, but remember that this is also a great time for you to keep experimenting. So fail multiple times, don't be afraid of failing. Go out and seek mentors, go out and seek other sort of experiences like these. So accelerator, incubators, venture studios, how to make your venture a lot more at multiple stages. You would need different things. Maybe at an early stage you need like product market fit. In next stage you need what are the levers of scale. Third stage you would need venture funding. So be very at different stages, remember that what got you here will not get you to the next level. So be very cognizant of the fact that you need to keep on adapting yourself and move to the next level. Seek like-minded people from your own community or communities like these. Ask them what are your success stories, what are the business model that work for you. And as an entrepreneur, I think the most important part is to understand where your revenue is going to come from. So don't be intimidated if you don't have an answer immediately. Do experiments as many as possible. Do small experiments, fail fast, and then get into the journey. So as someone out of college, 6 years out of college, raised multiple rounds of funding, now scaling across geographies in India as well as abroad, I can only tell you that there are no shortcuts. It's a long journey. It's a long haul. Your skill set needs to be upgraded at each level. Your community is going to be something that is going to be most helpful to you. Don't be embarrassed of seeking out help. Seek out help to everyone. Like, mail Sean 1,000 times if you have any doubts or you need any sort of assistance. And if you're building a sustainable company, seek out, be customer centric and seek ways in which you would get to know your customers better, so that your company could be sustainable, could be financially sustainable also. From day one, maybe just thinking that I need funding or I need to get here might not be the best way to go about it. The best way to go about it would be first fine-tuning and making your business model robust. I think first 3 years in our journey, we were just asking everyone that, do you think this model will scale? A lot of times we use these jargons as scale, product market fit. What does these actually mean? Like, my major question all the time was that, what does this, like, I use so many of these, but what do these mean? So scale means that, okay, your resources, the same resources you are putting to create 10 or 20 entrepreneurs, let's say, or 10, a small bunch of customers, the same resources would not be in the same proportion when you scale to 1,000 people. So you're scaling when your resources needed to acquire new customers or people would be far much lesser. And just try to understand what these means. Product, a lot of times I used to think that we have tested this for 50 farmers, so it works. Yes, 50 farmers in India works anywhere because there are 126 million farmers. So define your smaller things, like what is the minimum, we say that, what is this minimum threshold that we should be working with to know whether our solution is successful. So we came out with a number that we need to test out with 17,000 farmers. Unless and until that proof of concept is not sort of established with them, it might not work with anyone. We were working with 2 to 3 villages. We thought, oh, I now can, just scale, like just take this boat anywhere. But that's sometimes not the, not the scenario, and you would only know when you do it. So do it and ask questions and be aware of these, be very self-aware of what you don't know. If you don't know that product market fit has not been achieved, that's why your revenue is not increasing, all those sort of things, you are going to have a very linear and very stepwise approach. It would be just going from 1 step to 2, because that's not bad actually. Like, initially days I was also just going stepwise, but I think the real wisdom or maturity or whatever you can call it really came a bit later, after my 3rd or 4th year, when I realized that this is not working. I am going really slow, and I have been able to achieve only very less than what I aspire to do. So you have to then start thinking in a very different way. And I think that would be my suggestion to all of you, is that keep trying, be self-aware of what you don't know, be sure that what you're building is uh, good enough for you to not be stagnated at any point. Yes, it is good to build like a $2 million business also, but it is not necessary that all $2 billion businesses would be fundable business, be or would attract venture money. So yes, you learn all that in stages, but for you to have a non-linear journey, it's good to ask very fundamental questions and solve them as early as possible. And a lot of these and this whole maturity or comes only when you are with the right sort of people, community like these, community of your college mates, communities of your mentors. So I watch like a lot of YouTube videos and learn. So you can also, I'm sure like you have a lot more ecosystem support, resources. So just leverage that. I think the word for any young person starting out of college is leverage whatever you have. So all the best to all of you, and feel free to reach out to me if you need anything, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Nidhi. There's wealth of wisdom in there. I think you'll probably generate a lot of questions from that. Thank you for sharing all of that. It's great to hear, and that you were able to start your business in college. I didn't know that that you started so early. And you're able to build such a successful model. Okay, so we'll leave the questions till the end, but let's hear from Martin before we start that. Martin, would you like to take it away?
Yes. Hi, Sean. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? We're good. All right. Great. So my name is Martin Masiya. I am an entrepreneur based in Malawi. I'm the founder of Sollys Energy. We are a solar distribution business that is making quality, affordable solar appliances accessible to households and businesses in the semi-urban and rural areas of Malawi. So that's our main demographic. And our enterprise was born as a response to a need. So Malawi is one of the countries with one of the lowest rates of access to electricity in the world at 11%. More than 15 million people do not have access to the national grid. And so this necessitates a wide variety of solutions that need to be provided so that many more people can live to their fullest potential, can have access for their business to electricity. And so that's where we step in. And so far, we have successfully connected over 300 households to a solar lamp or solar home system. And we have established our sales network with sales agents spread out across the country. And for this, we have received numerous local and international awards. In 2020, we won the distribution prize, and we have since gone on to also receive, several accolades and things like that that are great for our business, that show that we're right on track to achieve our objectives, which is to ensure that more households and businesses are connected to affordable electricity across the country. And whilst doing so, we have also established a series of partnerships with local and international organizations. We're currently working with the German Development Agency, GIZ, in Malawi to scale our distribution of solar appliances. They're providing us with marketing and distribution support. And so we're very excited for that as well. And this morning, I just wanted to share with you some reflections with regards to the startup journey and how you can go about establishing this business idea that you have right now, especially after you finish school. So I'm going to share a couple of reflections around venturing into entrepreneurship building a team that has the capacity to deliver, and leveraging partnerships for growth. So on venturing into entrepreneurship, because I understand that most of you here are engineering students, and so you may have had an element of training in business, which is great, but then would probably need to be supplemented by your own efforts. So learn to equip yourself with the knowledge around delivering systems for business. Because as an engineer, maybe your main priority may be around the solution that you're actually trying to develop, which it may be an appliance, it may be a platform, it may be a software, which is great. But then as a business owner, as a founder, you may then also wish to equip yourself, with the necessary skills around business, around developing a business, about how to handle finances, how to make a business grow, how to manage people. And that is your responsibility, because with that solution, it is then up to you to come up with a delivery system for that solution. So start with an end goal in mind. It's good to picture how your enterprise or your solution will look like, in the next 5 to 10 years, and what it is that you'd like to achieve. The purpose is key, as Nidhi said. If you don't have purpose, it's very hard, especially in those times when it looks like things are not working out. If you do not have an end goal in mind, it's very hard for you to remember why you've started on that journey in the first place. And after having spent so much time investing, in your solution, in your enterprise, to then give it up because you did not have, the plan for how you're going to make it happen is a very disappointing thing. So start with an end goal in mind and analyze your personal strengths and weaknesses. I say this in regards to business and also with regards to who you are as a leader and as an entrepreneur. So if you analyze your strengths, your weaknesses, you then know what you need to work on in order to be the most effective leader that you can be, in order to be the most effective business person that you can be. As a startup founder, there are many things that rely on you once you start. So you may have to be someone who is well aware of where they fall short. And this comes especially key as I lead into my second point around, building a team that has the capacity to deliver. So you can't go far without a team, and without a good team. So depending on the solution that you have and the business, idea, generation and process that you've used, you may then need to develop a team that can help you to deliver this. So competence, a good relationship, with the people that you want on your team, mutual respect, and understanding of the greater mission, they're key to both selecting and maintaining team members. You need to establish, a good culture, from the get-go. You need to establish, lines of, communication that are open, that are fluid, that are transparent, that are based on mutual respect and understanding if you are to make your solution work. And so you have to also obtain people that complement your skill set. This is something Nidhi pointed out as well. So according to your strengths and weaknesses, according to what you feel that is something that you may be lacking or you may not have the time to work on, you may need people that complement these skills and that are willing to complement them to the level of the achievement of the business objectives, so that you don't have to micromanage, you don't have to go back and forth in between doing people's work for them as well. So also very important, don't copy and paste whatever it is that's out there that you've seen and just paste it into your business. Context matters. In this competition, I'm lucky, I'm privileged to see that there's, from the chat, there's entrepreneurs, students in different sectors, in different geographies. So context in those environments is different. Like Nidhi said, for them, a baseline, is, talking to about 70,000 farmers, so you need to understand your context as well. And so you need to be aware of this, as you make your hires, because that may also dictate the kind of people that you'd want and the kind of skills that you need in your enterprise. Just because someone has a chief technology officer and a chief financial officer and something like that, doesn't mean that that's something that you have to lead with as well. you may discover that you may need a totally different structured team to the achievement of your objectives. And so on the last thing, leveraging partnerships for growth. Partnerships are very important. As a startup, you need to be surrounded, by a support structure that will enable you to grow, that will enable you to test, your business, that will be able to connect you with opportunities for growth. So seek to establish first a local of expertise that you can consult and rely on for knowledge and opportunities. Local understanding is key in any case. So in the market that you're working with, establish those local connections. There are those professionals that are within, that local context that have been there for quite a while, that are very willing to provide you with the knowledge and expertise that you need to make your startup a success. Don't be shy, reach out to them, be proactive, and learn from them as much as you can. And be part of sector networks and contribute. As young people in energy, in electrification, there are various sector networks that are available to you. Sustainable Energy for All, the SDG 7 Youth Constituency of the United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. Be part of these networks. Opportunities flow from these networks. Chances to network with other young people that are working on similar solutions as you flow from these networks as well. And it's not like there's a huge requirement to joining, all you have to do is sign up. So look out for the networks that are available, both locally, regionally, globally, and be part of them. Opportunities and introductions will often come from these. So do not hesitate also to lend a helping hand when you can. You're not working in a silo. So there's many others that are also trying to reach out to you, that are also trying to get some knowledge, some context, that are building as well. You find that a couple of years from now, those are the people that would also recommend you for different things. They'll also help you to set up, new business models and things like that. So do not hesitate to lend a helping hand. Be as helpful as you can. Be connected. Seek connections. Be proactive. And lastly, I should say it's a marathon and not a sprint. So with startups, venture building, it's a very overwhelming task. I'm sure most people, most of the venture partners would relate with this. And no amount of advice can really prepare you for what is to come, because it's like you get sucked into a whirlwind, and there's so many things that are going on. And so remember to take time, to rest, to refresh, and recharge, both during your day. It's good to establish, those good habits that rejuvenate you during the day, and also at specific periods during the year and things like that. I read a quote that said, burnout is not a badge of honor. You shouldn't be happy that you're constantly burning out, because that has, more likelihood of leading you to mistakes than it does leading you to success. So be well-paced, have a good regimen, of sleep, of rest, of hydration, food and things like that, and make a plan for it as well. So as you plan for how you're going to grow your business, as you plan for how you're going to grow your partnerships, and how you're going to grow your team, you need to dedicate time to how you're going to grow yourself personally as well, how you're going to rest and refresh yourself, so that it's not an exercise where 6 months later you're completely burned out and you don't even know why you started in the first place. And so that's also something that I would appreciate more people to pay attention to, and to also make sure that they're working on as well. That's pretty much the extent of what I had to share. And yeah, we'll be looking forward to the questions and answers session.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, I think some really valuable advice there, especially at the end. Yeah, don't burn out. It's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
So I'd like to open the floor now to any questions we have. It's nice to see lots of people introducing themselves in the chat. I know we have a lot of like-minded people here today, judging from the poll at the beginning, all interested in starting a business following their university degree. So feel free to connect with each other and continue the conversation after this session. But for now, you have the floor, and you have our special guests to answer any questions that you might have. So feel free to take yourself off mute, turn your video on, or send anything through the chat. Looking forward to it.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, John.
Brilliant, thank you.
Good to hear you.
Yes, hi, I'm John. I attend Harper Adams University in England. In my final year mechanical engineering degree. And my team for the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge has been developing a solar-powered grain milling solution, working with a repurposed cart alternator converted to a motor. We've had a bit of success doing that, which has been really interesting. I was been inspired by all of the speakers actually, but Nidhi, your story of ag tech in India particularly interests me. I was just wondering if you'd had any experience with grain milling during your progress.
Sure. Thanks, Morgan, for the question. And yes, we ourselves do a lot of grain milling. Can be done at the farm gate.
Yo,
so the
what's up?
can process at the village itself. And there are many other solutions in India which are available also. I would love to connect with you and discuss more and see if we can pilot one of your designs at our unit. I can just tell you a few challenges that we face with grain milling, maybe one-on-one also. But firstly, has been a lot of wastage. So the conversion cost in grains to make anything like either it is pulses or an animal feed is very small as compared to fruits and vegetables or more high valued products. So it needs to be like in India, if you see millers that are available, their capacity is really high, like they can process 4 tons per hour or and our larger units. So for you to actually be more competent with them, it would be great to see what could be the added benefits that your technology provides. So it would be good to really actually really study the competition very well in both, I think, India, Africa. A lot of developing countries need it. So all the best. I think this is like a great upcoming solution, has huge potential, huge potential. The grains market is really very big, and you should really look at what is the capacity of your machine for it to be deployable. So both, I would say, capex per kg, capital cost per kg, and operating cost per kg would be something that I would love to see. And once that's done, can provide some feedback.
Brilliant, thank you, Nidhi. Yeah, that's definitely something we need to evaluate and do our best to put some numbers to. But yeah, thank you. I'd love to connect with you again.
Sure.
Nidhi's just shared her email in the chat, John, as well, for you to refer to. Thanks, John. Open any other questions from anyone? Thanks, Nidhi, as well. Ushua, I see.
Hi. My question's for Romain. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I just wanted to know if you have any business ideas right now in the energy field that are in development, and how you're going about them, or any advice.
Romain, you're just on mute.
Thank you.
Classic.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Ushua, for this question. So at Satgana, we are indeed a climate and sustainability focused venture fund. And our thesis around climate and sustainability is the fact that climate is obviously critical for us to survive and to thrive as humanity and with the planet. and also a big investment opportunity, obviously, as we need to decarbonize all industries and halve our emissions by 2030 and get to net zero by 2050. And that's going to take a lot of resources to decarbonize all sectors of the economy. But we also look at the broader scope of sustainability. We think that greenhouse gases are indeed one of the key metrics that we need to focus on, but not only. And so this is why we actually talk about planet positive ventures, so planet positive startups, not only climate positive. And we talk about the climate and ecological crisis, because the climate is mostly related to greenhouse gases, but there are also other metrics that we're looking at, and as such, other key themes or areas of impact that we focus on, such as circular models, or looking at plastic reduction, pollution of air, soil, water, biodiversity conservation as well. So quite the broad spectrum of what we've marketed internally as being the future of Earth. And so because of that, we focus quite on a broad spectrum of sectors, which go from mobility to, so we have one startup already in the mobility space, also agriculture, industry 4.0, etc. As of now, to answer more specifically your question, we don't really have a lot of deal flow nor hot pipeline, I would say, on the energy sector. Obviously, the energy sector is one of the biggest emitting sectors of the economy. But our view is that a lot of the innovation when it comes to new technologies to get to more decarbonized electricity and energy has been already developed and is more in, I would say, scaling mode, and requires a different type of funding, such as project finance, infrastructure, private equity, debt, etc. Not so much venture, which is our focus. And so because of that, we have seen a couple of companies, but mostly, to be honest, it's on other sectors of the economy, like transportation, and once again, like agriculture and industry, etc. Not so much in the energy sector. Not that we're opposed to it; it would very much fit into our thesis. It's just because of the nature of innovation, solar and wind has had, its breakthrough developments earlier, maybe in the 90s, early 20s, and then there was the bubble of clean tech 1.0, and now it's like obviously the cost of wind and solar is among the cheapest, if not the cheapest source of energy, but it has already been scaled through venture capital and through wins and losses, by the way. And now there's, I would say, less investment into these fields, mostly because it's already been developed and gotten to scale. So now it's different kind of funders that are going to focus on these sectors.
Would it be okay if I asked you a follow-up question?
Of course, please.
What is the difference between a venture studio and venture capitals funding these types of solutions?
Yeah, it's a very good question, to which I have my own answer, because it's not a universal answer, in the sense that venture capital funds, even if currently they are undergoing quite a few changes and new models within the venture capital asset class, but overall it's been like there's a commonly agreed definition of what is a VC fund. Whereas for a venture studio, it's more nascent as a subset. The way I look at it is that it's a subset of the venture capital asset class. So basically within venture capital, you have your growth stage, Series A, Series B, Series C, and then you have your more early stage like seed and Series A. And the way we look at it internally here at Satgana is that the venture studio is really the earliest stage. So it's basically pre-seed, even we could call it pre-seed, if that even exists. And that's the way we look at it. Now there's different shapes and forms of venture studios. Some of them do internal ideation, whereby the studio founders themselves are going to have ideas and then bringing entrepreneurs to build these ideas. Whereas in some other cases, and that's our model, we have entrepreneurs coming to us with an idea. But the reason why we define ourselves as a venture studio as compared to a venture capital fund is twofold. First is the fact that we are able to invest more early than most VC funds. So typically a lot of entrepreneurs that come to us have an idea, They know the market, they're purpose driven, they have a beginning of a product, but it's still very early stage. And we're able to help them so early, which is not typical of most VC funds. And second reason why we define ourselves as a venture studio as compared to a venture capital fund is the fact that we also invest a lot more operational resources than most VC funds. Most VCs, not all, but a lot of them will give you money and expect a return in a couple of years and kind of let you do your own thing. Whereas our model is really to plug in a lot of resources so that we can really support the entrepreneurs with technology resources, impact management, marketing, finance, product development, funding, fundraising support, etc., etc.
Thank you.
Thanks both.
But if you have great
Um,
in the energy sector and you want to send us deal flow or decks or anything, feel free to do so. I'll put my LinkedIn profile and Twitter profile on the chat afterwards so that you guys can connect with me, and I'm very easily approachable, so feel free to write to me afterwards.
Thank you, Romain. Okay, and we have a question from More Life. You have your hand raised. Would you like to come off mute? There you go.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Fine. Yeah, I've noticed that Miss Nidhi has indicated that they are doing some developments for rural communities in India. So I wanted to know, are their products being sold in rural communities or they market elsewhere? And if it is in a rural community, yeah, how is the economy there? The size of the revenue, or they are giving at, maybe it's a trust.
Thanks, more or less. I want to just respond to that. Apart from the technology, we also provide access to finance. So we make banks ready to invest with these women. These women are all new to credit. They don't have any credit history. They don't even have any collateral, so that on the basis of which they can avail loan. They don't have any initial upfront investment that they can make. The equipment cost $1,200, so they don't have any capital. So in this case, we have made financing available in the rural areas. We have partnerships with regional rural banks as well as nationalized bank to fund these at an affordable 6% interest rate for 5 years. I hope that answers your question. We are a for-profit.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thanks, More Life. Thanks, Nidhi. I think we can take one final question from Sadiq.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Welcome
My
back.
question is also from Nidhi because she's in the same subcontinent as I am. So I think currently one of the organizations that I'm working for, they are trying to figure out what is the implementation of net metering when it comes to cold storages in prospects of Bangladesh. So I think I'm aware that India in its rural areas, especially the off-grid areas, I think they have introduced, they have really good cold storage facilities, and they've also implemented net metering systems in some of them. So I just wanted to know if Nidhi could give me some idea about how cost effective would it be, or how beneficial would it be to actually include net metering within these communities for the cold storage facilities.
Sure. Thanks, Sadik, for the question. Yes, we do have the metering process in many rural parts of India, though it works only in places where the community is large enough. So say if 100 farmers are storing together, the cost gets distributed. Otherwise, cold storage in itself has higher operating cost because you would require continuous amount of energy to feed in. And it usually works with, there are many advanced technologies that have come in, but still it is more affordable if you are exporting the produce. So metering would involve, though it adds accountability and it gives you the right data points that what is the amount of energy that your system is consuming versus what electricity bill that you get. It's definitely an additional ways of controls your supply chain. If you are a marketplace, or if you are someone who is the seller of the cold storage, it makes definitely a lot of added value to you to have net metering, versus a farmer at an individual level. It's not affordable for them. It is usually in India, we have seen that there is a third party apart from farmer or the supplier of the cold storage who is adding this newer technology, who's adding the metering technology, and so that there is transparency that comes in. So this is a third party who comes and installs the metering process, and they and then disseminates the data points to both the farmers as well as the cold shield supplier and to the government, so that the farmer can match his billing with the government, whatever are the electricity charges. And the cold storage supplier also has more accountability of what is the energy that is consumed and cost that is paid. So it is definitely a very great approach and much necessary for transparency. If your government, if your partners are more transparent, it is something that definitely should be implemented, but comes at only a scale, not at an individual farmer or a community level.
I just wanted to know if there are any actual papers or research that your organization has done, which I could look at, the cost effectiveness of actually implementing that. Thank you.
We don't work with cold storages, but I can connect you to like a few people who work in cold storage. And
Yes,
there are, I think, number of research papers that you can see. Cold storage, you can look at InfiCold and EcoZen. I would just put their websites, and maybe you can reach out to them. They are much more involved in cold storage.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sadiq, and thanks, Nidhi. Okay, that brings us right up to time, and we're just a bit over. So if anybody has to drop off for now, completely understand, especially if to go somewhere else. But thank you for coming today. If you do have to leave, and big thanks to all three of our special guests today, Nidhi, Romain, and Martin. It was great to have you. Great to hear some advice. If anyone would like to continue the conversation afterwards, again, feel free to email me, as well as comment in the crowdsolve post. So the crowdsolve post is like where we can get everyone together talking. As you could see from our baseline survey, we have a lot of like-minded people, so maybe you could build some connections within the design challenge. And I know you've introduced yourselves within the chat. If you found anyone you'd like to connect with, feel free to do so afterwards. Just before we go, I wanted to launch a quick survey to see where everyone stands following the session. So let me just launch that. And then I got a couple notifications for all of you, but anyone that needs to drop off, feel free to do so. Okay, wow. I don't know if anybody can see this result set. Let me just share them. So most people feel inspired and equipped to pursue and explore this career path further, which is good. The rest of you are just more interested in the career path now following this event. So it's good to hear that you gained more interest coming today. Hopefully the guests' advice was helpful in that way then. And now, just before we go, as usual, we have a short feedback survey just to help us deliver these events better. So if you could just fill this out quickly, it just takes a couple minutes. I'll also share this in the follow-up information. It helps us improve each time. So this will help us improve these in the future. Just leave that up for a few more seconds. And then finally, we have a newsletter sign up. So we have one coming out in April, and we'll give you some really important information about the design challenge, things coming up, some key dates. So please sign up for that. It's important to get all the notifications that are coming through. Let me know if you're not already. Please feel free to send an email if you are having trouble following this QR code or the URL. I'm happy to send that over email. Just some important information coming through there. But that will close out the session for today. Thank you everyone for coming. It was great to have you. And again, special thanks to all of our guests. We hope to see you soon. Our next event will probably be one on preparing you for pitching, preparing you for presentation skills, and you might see Romain there again. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for coming today.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.